Welcome back, my friends. So, as I promised, we want to take the next step, this introduction into contemplative prayer. And today it's again about the dark night of the soul. And as I have promised the last time, we want to dig into this second dark night, the Spanish mystic Saint John of the Cross describes in his beautiful poem, The Dark Night of the Soul. And this is the dark night of the spirit. So, if the seeker has come through the first dark night, the dark night of the senses I described in lesson 8, there will be a longer period of deepened faith where there is this intense connection to God, and and you feel quite blissful, and things are going quite smoothly, so to speak. And I don't want to go into that too much, but for some folks, after a certain amount of time, there will be another spiritual crisis waiting, which is the dark night of the spirit. This happens after perhaps decades of peace and bliss and well-being on the path. And again, this is a very rough period, mostly of many years, where there are many challenges waiting for the spiritual seeker. So, what happens in the second night? It's again like God seems to be absent all of a sudden, but this time, even in a deeper way. So, you experience inexpressible loneliness. Life can be really, really hard at those times and can literally fall apart on the outside. It feels like something within you is dying, and that's what actually is happening, because our ego conditioning falls away and it gives us a big fight, because ego is let's say, clinging to life and is not willing to let go. So it takes this intense period of purging to proceed on this inner path. And again, if you are looking for consolation, there is nothing to be found, not in prayer, not in lecture or anything else. And this is not all, but out of your soul, very old and buried traumata or feelings will surface, emotional blocks will show up, and let's say the emotional waves coming from the inside of the soul will get very, very high and challenging. So you get smashed to the ground, to the beach again and again. And of course, it's a very humbling process to go through this, especially when it takes years, because you come to the understanding that you literally cannot do anything to shorten this whole thing or even to manage it. But this is just happening to you, and you are just unable to solve this or even improve it. So you feel powerless, and this is a very challenging experience for our ego, because we are all trained to manage our lives and decide where to go. And in this phase, you cannot decide anything at all. This is all coming over you, and that's why it's so hard. So the speaker will begin to combat God even. You will get very angry at him, like the prophet Job did in the Bible. The thoughts will be like, why is this happening to me? I did all the right things. I'm a good person. Why is God punishing me in this way? And why is he abandoning me? And all these questions will arise. And probably this seeker will get very angry and even resentful against God. It feels like being torn into pieces. Anger coming up, rage coming up, sadness coming up, and anxiety, of course, because you literally do not know anymore who you really are. And this is, of course, a huge challenge again. So this can take a long time. And it will go on, and you will, let's say, be trapped in suffering until you come to the point of complete surrender, where you just accept that you cannot do anything to get out of this, and that you cannot manage the life you once led anymore. What also will happen is that strong inner spiritual energies begin to emerge again and again, which purge the whole, let's say, nervous system and transform your whole being. It's very hard to go through this when these energies arise, mostly in the root chakra, as they say, and this energy rises through all the chakras up to your head and brings about so many symptoms and difficulties, but this is another topic. The only thing which will happen is that your intuition will get very sharp and very clear. Synchronicities will appear like spiritual signs coming from the outside, and they are given as a support that you are not abandoned and that you are not lost, of course. What is happening is that God has put you into a fire like a piece of iron, and he forges you into someone new, into his servant, so to speak. And you can imagine that this process will take a long time, and it comes in waves over many years. So the key things are devotion to the path and absolute trust in God that this makes sense and it will end in divine timing. But if you go through this, there will be, let's say, sort of fruits of this dark night of the spirit. First of all, you get free from the temptation to play the big guy or think of yourself to be someone special. You get also free from being pushed around by your emotions. And how does this happen? It happens by integrating all these surfacing emotions and not running away from them. We also get rid of every image we had of God. We understand that he's so much stronger and bigger and different than we thought he was, and that we are lacking words for the experience of the divine. And thus we get ready to really serve, and our faith gets purged from images which derive from our religious upbringing. In a way, we are born again, cleansed from all the conditioning from the outside. And we become the original image God made himself about us. So this is a beautiful thing, but again, It's not easy to go through this. When ego gets reduced more and more, we really understand that we owe really everything to God alone and come to this beautiful state of complete surrender. So we can describe the path, but of course it's different for everyone, and it's hard to go through it. It's good to have someone at your side who understands the process, but he or she can't take the burden off of you. You have to do this all by yourself. This is part of the whole thing. And there is only one, let's say, security about these dark nights. And I put it in Thomas Keating's words, that the only one thing which is really certain on the path is that the path will be completely different from what we thought. That's for sure. So what is asked of us here is a leap of faith into the unknown. And of course, this is not easy, brings about lots of anxiety and the feeling of getting destroyed, even, only to experience that there is someone who will, let's say, catch us while we think we are falling, and who will bring us out of this whole experience in a completely new way, as a new person, a new being, so to speak. So I hope this was helpful. I didn't want to scare you off of the path, but I think it's very important to know what can and will happen when you really commit to it. If you like it, give me a thumbs up or subscribe. And yeah, we will see each other in step 10, where I sum it all up. And thank you so much for watching today. Thank you.